from the Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for April 2022. So on April 29th, we have a pretty big event taking place because Pluto is going retrograde. This kicks off retrograde season. It is also taking place the day before we have our eclipse. There's a lot to unpack here, so I'm going to take my time, settle in, get your pen ready, open up your heart, open up your mind, because we have a lot going on from now until the fall. Retrograde season typically takes place for the better part of the spring into the fall. And Pluto, being the god of the underworld, aka Hades, represents our shadow self, our dark side. Now, here's the thing. Pluto moved into Capricorn energy that rules over karma, rules over business and structure and foundations, rules over roles and responsibilities, finance, moved into Capricorn in 2008. So this has been a very, very long time for us to get acquainted with our inner power, our inner authority, that of course comes from the darkest places within us. The pain, the trauma, the suffering that you've had to experience in your life has been divinely scripted in order to push you into your highest form of power and authority. This is what Pluto rules over. So when Pluto is direct, typically speaking, we see the external realm uncover secrets, uncover lies, corruption, the darkness of humanity, the darkness of the collective. And typically speaking, when Pluto goes retrograde, things tend to cool down a little bit in the external realm, and it's a time for us to move inward. This is an inside job. We have to move within ourselves to examine the darkest parts of our shadow self, because that is what actually brings the brightest light to our realm. Many people run from their shadow self. That is not the thing to do. That compartmentalizes and divides your inner power, your inner energy. The power that we get from staring our darkest selves, our deepest fears, our deepest trauma, our deepest pain in the face and alchemizing it into light is what being a light worker, an energy worker, is all about. So we had Pluto move into Capricorn energy in 2008. Typically speaking, Pluto goes retrograde for about 5 months every year. So this isn't our first rodeo. But what makes this very interesting is that Pluto is currently at 28 degrees. Technically speaking, there are 29 degrees in every single sign. That 30th degree, of course, we roll over into the zero aspect of the next sign. So anytime that we're nearing the 29th degree of a sign, that's a critical point. It is a crisis point, so to speak. So here we have Pluto, which is very slow, mind you, pushing along, finally getting towards the end of this Capricorn energy. And now we're going retrograde. Pluto will be retrograde until October 8th. And at that time, when Pluto goes direct, we're actually going to be coming out of the retrograde at a 26 degrees. So technically speaking, we're only doing about 2 degrees of progress over the next 5 months. That's going to be enough. Trust me, it's going to be enough. Don't worry about it. But here's the thing. The 28th degree of Capricorn energy suggests a buzz in the collective where there's a lot of confusing information. There's a lot of division. There's a lot of chaos, if you will. And there's a disconnect from the quote unquote brotherhood, sisterhood of the collective. We're at a disconnect right now. And now, moving inward, we're going to strip away our inner realms, our inner egos, our shadow self, in order to really find the power within. And by the time we come out of this particular retrograde energy at a 26th degree, we're going to feel lighter. We're going to feel brighter. The Sabian symbols for both different degrees actually indicate a huge release, a huge purge. And that, of course, is what these retrogrades are all about. When we talk about retrograde, I want you to think of the RE words. So first of all, we have to rest. We have to revise, we have to revisit, we have to re-edit, we have to reorganize, we have to recalibrate, we have to realign. That's what this particular process is all about. So Pluto, being the great transformer, takes us into this deep dive, into the shadow self, into the darkest realms of what it is to be a human in our own individual experience, in the collective experience as well. The great transformation starts with a deeper perspective, a deeper understanding that, of course, will rearrange our psyche, the way that we look at things, the way that we perceive things, the way that we understand things to be. And when we are able to rewrite that program, that perspective in our psyche, that changes our heart space. It changes the way that we feel, not only about the situations that have already transpired, not only about the present moment, because we're totally a different version of ourselves after this retrograde comes to an end, but it also sets us up for having a very different perspective on how it is that we actually want to move forward. So I want to talk about the evolution of Pluto through Capricorn for just a sec. So Pluto moved into Capricorn energy in 2008, like I had mentioned. He has very slowly but surely made it through all the different degrees of this Capricorn energy. Back in January on the 6th, we entered into the pre-shadow period. Keep in mind, Pluto is an outer planet, so it's a very subtle energy. We don't feel that shift, that dramatic intensity going from a direct position to a shadow period to a retrograde, the way that we would when, say, Mercury goes retrograde, which we'll talk about here in a second, because Mercury is an inner planet. It has a shorter orbit. It affects our day-to-day life. So it's definitely more dramatic. So this is why, especially the USA, has been having a hard time, especially since 2008 with the economy, with the struggle for power, with government, with corruption, the whole 9 yards. And even more so over the last 2 years, as we kind of neared the point of the USA's Pluto return. I did do a video about this. You can definitely check that out. It will tell you a little bit more in depth of what the USA specifically has been going through because of this Pluto return. So January 6th, we entered a pre-shadow period. Now take a trip back memory lane. A lot has transpired since the beginning of this year. Most of it not very good. There's been a lot revealed on the collective and in our individual lives, especially where power is concerned, especially in our relationships, especially with our finances, all very much surrounding and governing the topics and themes that Capricorn energy brings us into. So April 29th, we're going retrograde. October 8th, we're coming direct. And then January 29th of 2023, we're actually going to exit the post-shadow period. So this is a very low and slow transformation. Now, not that I want to jump around too much here, but I gotta throw this in here, okay? Pluto will be moving into Aquarius March 23rd of 2023. This is going to be a game changer for those of you that have been following me for quite some time. And we're always talking about the ascension process and this great solar event that we are building up to. I've kind of been tight-lipped about my own opinions, my own perspectives on when this great solar flash is going to take place, but I have been kind of dropping the hints, dropping the clues that I personally don't believe that we are going to have this huge solar event until about anywhere from 2024 to 2026. Reason being, Pluto in Aquarius is the collective taking their power back. from the great government, from the great structures and foundations that are no longer supporting freedom, independence, and sovereignty. This Aquarian energy is the great awakener. This Aquarian energy is rebellious. This is revolutionary. Pluto, being about power and authority and transformation, moving into Aquarian energy, is going to be the very beginnings of where it is that us as a collective needs to be in order to awaken and bring that vibration and frequency up to the point where the solar flash can occur. Many people think that the solar flash is something that is going to happen and then we're going to have to react to it. I actually don't believe in that. Under my current understanding of what it is, the information that I bring in from my highest guides, my highest team members, is that us, the collective, is the trigger, the activator for this great solar flash to take place. Why? Because our vibration and frequency needs to get to a peak level here on Earth, here on Mother Earth, who is raising her vibration and frequency as well. We all have to reach this very pivotal point of awareness, of consciousness, of the Great Awakening for this solar flash to actually take place. So we're all sitting around waiting for this event to happen for us to react to it. That's the wrong way to be looking at things. We are the reason, we are the trigger, we are the activation for this event to happen. Why do we want this event to happen? Well, because that's what locks in New Earth. And New Earth is very much in alignment with the age of Aquarius. Pluto moving into Aquarian energy is just the beginning for a couple of reasons. So Pluto moves into Aquarius on March 23rd of 2023. We'll go retrograde at 0 degrees, 21 minutes, I believe, May 2nd of 2023. Then we retrograde, re-enter back into Capricorn energy, June 11th, 2023. That is semi-concerning because from right now, up until the time that we enter into Aquarius, this particular time frame will be revisited, will be revised. We are going to have to make some re-edits. When Pluto re-enters Capricorn at that 29th degree and makes its way back through the latest degrees of Capricorn energy, we will be going direct at 27 degrees of Capricorn on October 10th of 2023. That's a big deal because, as I mentioned, we're going retrograde on April 29th at 28 degrees. We are coming out of this retrograde October 8th at 26 degrees. So going direct October 10th of 2023 at 27 degrees is going to land us smack dab in the middle of this particular retrograde season. So pay attention. Whatever happens from now until the fall, especially smack dab in the middle of summer, that's what we will be retracing our steps to in 2023 when Pluto goes retrograde and re-enters into Capricorn. Good news, Pluto will be re-entering into Aquarian energy, this time with the sun. This is a big deal. January 20th of 2024. We basically get an escort. The sun is walking Pluto into Aquarian energy when the sun moves into Aquarius season. If that isn't a sign or a symbol of entering into the age of Aquarius, I don't know what is. And long term here, Pluto will be in Aquarian energy until January 19th, 2044. So that, my friends, is the long term. Now, what I will say is that my particular opinion, my particular perspective is that the great solar flash will happen. The collective will raise its awakening, raise its consciousness, raise the vibration and frequency from now until 2024 to 2026. And there is going to be a revolt. There is going to be a revolution. Now, one may say, I wonder what could cause such a great awakening? Well, you got to go back to 2020 for that. Because let me tell you, we're already seeing the lies, the corruption, the betrayal, the absolute crimes against humanity. We're already seeing that information flow out right now. What could possibly anger so many people around the world in a couple of years in order for the Great Revolt to take place? I'm going to leave you with that. Because let me tell you, it goes back to 2020. We all know what happened in 2020. We are starting now, just 2 years later, to see the fallout of that particular situation. And let me tell you, it is only going to get more intense, more revealing, and absolutely the foundational primary root of what could anger, awaken so many people on the collective level at one time. This setup is perfect. That's why I love astrology. The setup is there. We can see the evolution of events, of consciousness, of our individual path by listening to astrology. So there, that is my long-term rant. Let's get back to what we can do about it in the here and now. So we're going to have this retrograde. This is a great time for us to gain a little bit of insight into our shadow selves, our pain, our trauma, our self-destructive and self-sabotaging behaviors. This is a time for us to take our darkness, to alchemize it to light. Very much focused, like I said, rooted in the psyche, rooted in the heart space. Now, because this is a Capricorn energy, we're really going to have to focus on our need for power and control. Many of us constantly living in the external realm, trying to control every freaking element and wondering why we suffer from anxiety, okay? This is about surrendering. This is about moving inward, doing what we got to do to stabilize our inner realm so that it doesn't matter what's going on in the external world. We aren't going to be rocked because we're going to have a source power within us that we know we're going to be okay. We're standing in our own power. We're standing in our own authority. We've already examined the worst part of ourselves, of our past, of our experience. We've drawn light from it. We've drawn power from it. So that means that we should be kind of leveling up in our karma, in the roles and responsibilities of the new soul contracts that reaching this particular vibration and frequency, awakening and awareness within ourselves will unfold for us. This is our opportunity to move inward and go on a quest for truth. The truth about ourselves, the truth about our pain, the truth about what it is that we've been running from. We have to take this time to reassess, another re-word, right? Reevaluate, reassess, re-edit, revise. What are we doing? Well, we're reassessing, reevaluating, revising our own power. So where does that power come from? Well, first of all, it's an inner job. It's an inner spiritual job. But in our external realms, we can take hints and clues from our relationships. Many of us in relationship dynamics where the power exchange, the energy exchange is not fair. We can look at our money matters, okay? Finances, Capricorn, right? We need to look at our safety, our security. Who has the power over us? What, our 9-to-5 job? Many of us recognizing the attachments that we have to labels, to careers, to relationships, to roles, to responsibilities. This needs to be reassessed. We have to do the work in order to surrender and detach from all of these things that have power over us. When we cut the cord, we take our power back, that rebuilds our inner strength, our inner power, our inner authority. Now, is it easy? Hell no. We got to look back at the past. We have to have old pain resurface. We have to reface our trauma. We have to understand that this is also going to be exacerbated, especially when Pluto first goes retrograde, because Mercury, ruler of the mental plane, will be going retrograde as well in its place of power in Gemini, just happening hours after Pluto actually goes into his retrograde. So what do we know about Mercury going retrograde? Well, it's a trip. It's a mental trip. We have to revisit, re-edit, revise a lot of the choices that we made, a lot of the decisions that we've had, a lot of the memories that we've been running from. We literally have to rearrange, recalibrate, reorganize our inner narrative, our perception, our inner voice, We have to recognize where it is that we have to kind of reaffirm to ourselves what it is that we actually choose to believe in. So we are going to have this like mercurial overlap when Pluto first goes retrograde as well. So we got to get real, people. We got to get real. What are we getting real with? Well, we got to get real with what is actually motivating us. Now, many of us aren't currently stuck in the 3D as some of the sleepers are, but it's very easy to look at people and to know what motivates them. If you are someone stuck in the 3D, still focused on materialistic items, the nice house, the nice car, the nice things, and that is your value system, then you're very much a slave to the materialistic realm. You get your power through your career, through relationships, likely through taking it from other people. I'll give you another kind of spin on it. Let's say that you're very much into exercise, into bodybuilding, whatever the case may be. Now, what is the motivating factor there? Hopefully, it's your health and wellness. But many people are into the gym, into that body situation, into the health and fitness because they want to look good. That is 3D realm, okay? That is physical circumstances, physical realm shit. And should we be kind of steering away from that? No, but there is a balance, okay? We have to understand what motivates us. Some people need fear and pain and disappointment to motivate them to make a change. So this Pluto retrograde is taking us into that shadow realm for us to get real with what motivates us. Is money motivating us? Is materialistic items motivating us? Is looking good motivating us? Is the 3D physical realm the almighty source of power and motivation for us? Or for those of us that have made the jump into that 4 and eventually 5D realm of our energetic selves, now we got to take a good look at the attachments that are still very much alive and well, because we do still have an ego. We still do have a physical form, but many of us light workers, energy workers, are leaning more into what motivates us. Well, being our best selves, being our highest selves, reaching our soul's potential, connecting with like-minded individuals, learning about what it is that goes on outside of this 3D realm. There comes a great power when we understand what motivates us. And many times in that exploration of finding out what motivates us, we recognize where it is that we set ourselves up to self-sabotage, to self-destruct. This, again, very much the great transformation needed in our psyche, in our heart space. So a great purge is going to happen over the next couple of months. That's what happens when we examine the dark parts within us. We have to figure out what it is that can stay, what it is that can go. And by the time we come out of this retrograde at a 26 degree, we already have the indicator from the Sabian symbols that things are going to be much lighter, much brighter. We're going to have more strength, more power, more authority within ourselves. So that is a great indication of the work that we are going to do. Now, let me just say, this particular aspect of going retrograde is being amplified by a lot of things. We already talked about Mercury going retrograde here soon. Mercury just entered its pre-shadow period on the 26th. Yes, it's still in Tauran energy. There's actually a beautiful trine that Pluto going retrograde is making with Mercury in Taurus at its final degrees at 28, 29 degrees before jumping into Gemini energy just hours after Pluto goes retrograde. So we have this overlapping mercurial energy. We also have this new moon in Taurus eclipse energy taking place just the day after. So the new moon, Taurus eclipse energy is a whole wild card energy that is going to ramp things up, shake things up, gift us with an opportunity for great change. I'm definitely going to recommend, I've been talking about this whole, Taurus Scorpio axis for a while now. This is the second set of eclipses that began just last year that we will continue to work on until 2023. So the eclipse energy is not joking either. This is literally putting us at a situation where we are going to see some major transformations take place in a very short amount of time. And again, a lot of it is happening in the inner realm. So we have a lot of new information coming at us. And we know this because, well, Mercury's involved. There's a lot of information being revealed that's going to change the game as we move inward to do our solo journey. Mercury at the final degrees of Taurus energy before jumping into Gemini, as Pluto is going retrograde, is going to bring up a lot of aha moments, a lot of revelations, a lot of perspectives, a lot of information and details surrounding our physical realms, where our routines, our money matters, our relationships are concerned. And then bam, Mercury moves into Gemini, and suddenly we got to take it up into the mental plane. There are vast choices to make. There are dualistic decisions on our plate. There are opposing factors that we have to sort out in a very, very fast time while Mercury is in its retrograde, May to June. And it is going to bring up a lot of questions. And that's what we need to be doing at this time. We need to question everything, especially our inner realms, our shadow selves, our internal motivations. So some interesting facts for you. May 23rd to 27th, this is going to be our first challenge, so to speak. Now, our first challenge in the realizations of what needs to change in our physical realms due to the inner shadow work that we are doing from now until then. We are going to be presented with a challenge, with an obstacle, with an opportunity to make such a dramatic change and transformation in our realms. And this is going to be an opportunity where we're going to have to stand our ground. We're going to have to stand up for ourselves. Now, many people are going to rise to that occasion and make the decisions for themselves so that the universe doesn't have to make it for them. But there's a lot of people that are going to fail to make that decision for themselves, make that choice point, that are going to fail to stand up for themselves, fail to even observe this opposing factors trying to push them into a better path. And for those particular people, we're going to be challenged once again, June 29th. Now, June 29th, there's going to be another little reminder of this situation popping off from the 23rd to the 27th. If you did make a decision at that time, make a change, then this is going to be a lesser type of lesson in order for you to get the picture on what it is that you need to be doing within yourself and in your physical realm. But again, there's a large majority of people that will not make the change unless they are forced to. And it's likely around June 29th that you will see the universe push your hand in ways that you should have played it the first time around. So we have some interesting aspects to consider. We are having Pluto go retrograde. We're having Mercury stand into its place of power. We're having this new moon solar eclipse energy. We have Jupiter currently in Piscean energy, really kind of illuminating the spiritual aspect of our research, of our learning, of our investigation within ourselves. But Jupiter is going to be moving into Aries very shortly. Saturn goes retrograde in June. Neptune goes retrograde in June. Chiron retrogrades in July. Jupiter retrogrades in July as well. All of these aspects, while Pluto is still retrograde, all before the 8/8 Lionsgate portal in August. Why is that important? Well, because it's our next timeline jump. This is where soul contracts get rewritten, revised, re-edited. And from now until that 8/8 portal, we have all of these major heavy hitting planets joining Pluto, doing the inner journey of self-discovery to sort some things out that are going to have a major impact and major transformation on our physical realm. And then right after this particular timeline jump, we have Uranus, the Great Awakener, going retrograde in August as well, taking us in an inner journey, what needs to be shook up, what needs to be shook out, what needs to be purged and released in order for us to align with the choices, with the decisions that we would have made at that time. So fast forward to the fall, okay? Pluto goes direct on October 8th. Saturn follows October 23rd. Jupiter retrogrades back into Pisces, all before the next set of eclipses. If this isn't speaking a whole lot of change and transformation from the inner power, the inner authority, the inner karma that we would have sorted out by then, I don't know what else it's saying. And let me just tell you that on November 23rd, Jupiter goes direct at 28 degrees. Why is that important? Because as I speak, Jupiter is currently at 28 degrees in Pisces. So that tells us that we're going to have to revisit and revise some things that are currently being overlooked, being run from, being eluded from in the here and now. So to give you a heads up on what some of the signs can expect, I'm going to talk to my cardinal signs first. So Aries, Cancer, Libra, Capricorn. This particular Pluto transit in Capricorn since 2008 has been a doozy for all my cardinal friends out there, because this has really been illuminating for you where it is that you've been standing in your own way, where it is that you've been literally speaking fear into your dreams, where it is that you have been blocking your blessings. Why? Because you got some kind of emotional hang up going on. And that emotional hang up is likely due to the fact that these particular signs that I just rattled off like to stick to the light and fluffy side, the positive, the futuristic side of life, not really liking to look back, to dabble into the darkness so much. And there's a huge role and responsibility shift that's been happening to Aries, Cancer, Libra, Capricorn. Especially in careers, especially in relationships. And a lot of the career and relationship disappointment or blockages, if you will, have been happening to y'all because you can't seem to get out of your own way. You take 2 steps forward and then you turn around and you run about 4 steps back. So this is almost being afraid of your own power, afraid of the roles and responsibilities that you've been asked to step into in your soul contracts, in your soul mission, in your soul purpose. So this particular retrograde is definitely going to push you in order to stand in your power, to stand in your authority, to finally sign on the dotted line and accept the roles, the responsibilities that have been bestowed upon you. It's time to stop running, but it's also time to get real with your emotions, what it is that you're hung up on, what it is about the power, the authority, the roles, and the responsibilities that you're actually afraid of. What does that mean for you? To my mutable signs out there, Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces. Y'all, since 2008, have been going through a heart chakra cleansing. This particular Pluto retrograde, because it's at those final degrees, really needs you to see where it is that you yourself have been continuously picking the scab off of your heart space. Okay, so my Gemini, Virgo, Sag, Pisces friends, why do you all just want to keep yourself in this timeline? Keep repeating the patterns, the behaviors, the pain, the trauma of the past. Why do you got to analyze everything to death? Well, for my Gemini and Virgo friends, I understand Mercury being your ruler. You need to pick things apart and really understand them from the intellectual point of view before you will permit yourself to feel. And Sag and Pisces, of course, having those outer realm planets definitely try to push you into the more positive features of life. You just want to stay light. You want to stay bright. You want to stay futuristically focused. That's great. But if you don't do the work to heal your past, if you don't allow yourself to feel what it is that you need to heal before you're going to get all those beautiful blessings of your future visions and your future dreams, then what is the point? Get out of your way. Start doing the work necessary to sort through your inner workings of your heart space, of your head space. We talked about Pluto affecting the psyche, affecting the heart space. Do the work. Stop running. Stop trying to delude yourself with the happy-go-lucky positive possibilities of the future, and give yourself an opportunity to process the ugliness, the darkness, the pain, the suffering of your past. Lastly, to my fixed signs, Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, Aquarius. First of all, my fixed signs going through a little bit of a hard time right now because of the eclipse energy, the true nodes of the moon being on that Taurus and Scorpio axis, fixed signs. And, it's been quite a time. But what is your life lesson? What has Pluto been trying to teach you since 2008? Well, to stand up for yourself in calmness, in power, in authority. Many of my Taurus, Scorpio, Leo, and Aquarius friends only ever stand up for themselves, only ever unleash that fury when they are pushed into a frantic state of rage. Okay, we've been having to learn about how to fully embrace our darkness, fully embrace our anger, our frustration in a calm and authoritative kind of way. We have definitely bit our tongues when it comes to standing up for ourselves and really kind of being firm in what it is that we know to be true, what it is that our heart desires. But many of these particular signs will not speak on it until we lose our shit and shit hits the fan and we speak out of anger and rage and frustration. And the problem with that is that we're not taken seriously when we act from that vibration and frequency. Many people do not get taken seriously when we have to be angry and explode and tell our inner truth that we very much feel when we're calm. Tell our truth in an explosive type of way. Nobody takes you seriously that way. So my Taurus and Leo and Scorpio and Aquarian friends, you're learning the lesson to advocate for yourself, to stay strong, to stay true, and to communicate your innermost thoughts and feelings from a calm, cool, confident, powerful, authoritative type of energy instead of the chaotic, crazy, fuming, anger type of energy that many of y'all are just used to. So we all have tests, we all have challenges, we all have a different mission. And Pluto going retrograde is going to be a tough time. It always is in retrograde season, especially being overshadowed by eclipse season as well. But this tough time is what we came to Earth School for. If we wanted just to stay in the light and fluffy, everything is peachy keen type of energy, we would have stayed in a state of source where unconditional love is the only state of being. We come to Earth School because this is the place where we fight it out, where there's duality, where there's polarized energy. And us light workers were sent here, signed up for this mission because we have the power to alchemize the darkness into light, to turn that pain into power, not only for ourselves, but for the general collective.